Just 1 second. Okay, I always have a problem. We'll wait a few minutes just to have the channels all lined up together,
Okay.
and then we will start. Okay, I'm having some issues with. Let's start, and then I'll fix it. So, hi everyone, and welcome back to our session today. As you have seen, every Friday we are meeting and discussing some topics that can be of value to everyone, and also for us as professionals in the development domain. Today we are diving into a topic that I've questioned a lot. Many times I didn't understand why these things happen, which is intuition. How many times you have moment when something inside you told you, don't go there, or when a sudden idea pops into your mind that really felt exactly right. And we call it the gut feeling. Others call it instinct. But the truth is, it's intuition, and it's really deeper than that. It's not just like the sixth sense. It's natural, it's physical and powerful guidance system we are all born with. And yes, most of us either ignore it, doubt it, or don't know how to use it. That's why today's conversation with Masuma will be very important, because we will be discussing what is intuition, why it matters so much in our daily lives and decisions, and how can we develop it to become a reliable guide for clarity, connection, and confidence. Yes, we can develop our intuition, and was a surprise for me. So let's start and get ready to learn a lot today more about intuition. It's the most underrated skill. How are you doing today, Masuma?
I am fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay,
And thank
that's
you for
great.
having me on your podcast again.
Of
I
course. No,
love this
it's fun.
topic so much.
It's not my podcast. It's our podcast
Oh,
now,
our
because
podcast.
I'm really enjoying this weekly talk with you. There's a lot of topics, and sometimes discussing your thoughts out loud daily. This is the power of mastermind. It will always help us
Mhm.
look into different perspective or insight. Sometimes just sharing our ideas would make us understand them more,
Mhm.
or reevaluate what we're thinking. So I'm enjoying a lot our podcast, and hope everyone also in the chat or in the who's watching us is enjoying. So I would like to start with you with the first question, and I know you are more expert in this domain or in this topic than myself. Uh, I've always heard about intuition. I experienced a lot of moments where I felt there's something inside of me telling me, do this or don't do that.
Mhm. You're frozen. I don't know if you can see me or hear me, but you're frozen on my. I still cannot see or hear you. I mean, I can see you, but your face is frozen. What is going on here?
Okay, we are still live. Lost connection. I'll be waiting for Masuma, my guest, to join. Here she is. She's joining. Sorry for that. I'm currently in Lebanon and I'm having some problems with internet. Um,
Okay.
I just switched to my cellular internet. So uh, we were talking about, basically we started talking about intuition, and I would like to ask you, since you're more expert in this topic, what is intuition?
The way I think of intuition is your inner voice. So it's not loud. It's very I don't know if I would say it's quiet, but it's almost like a knowing. It's like a gut feeling, and it lives inside of you. It's not outside. You don't hear it from the outside. It's like inside of you. So if you were to close your eyes and just be in your body, it's like an inner voice that whispers, wisdom, um, wisdom to people. So, have you ever had the feeling where you're like, I don't know why I shouldn't go, but I just shouldn't go here, you know? So like
Yes.
it could be like, I shouldn't get on this flight. And then like, something's, you choose to trust that voice and not get on the flight, and then you'll see that something happens on the flight that you shouldn't have been there, or you shouldn't have gone to that location. So I think of it as your inner voice, the part of you
It
that's
happens
connected to your.
more often than usual.
Yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
uh, women have this even more stronger than men, just naturally,
Okay.
because we are more connected to our emotions.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's about how much you are connected with your emotions.
Yes, it's connected to your emotional body. Um, so, like, you can think of it as your sixth sense. So it's like a feeling, not necessarily your emotions, but like more like your feeling. So,
Okay.
have you ever known something, but when you talk about it, you don't say I think. It's not a thinking thing; it's a feeling thing. I feel like I
Yeah.
shouldn't go here. I feel like I shouldn't do this, or I should, or whatever, like. So it's more of a feeling. So that's how I think of it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So I can see it's a feeling, but how can we differentiate the feeling that's an intuition, that's the guiding feeling, or maybe the feeling of being scared of taking a certain decision or doing something that can be scary in a lot of times. So I know sometimes from my experience, some decisions I take, which logically maybe I wouldn't take them, but there's this gut feeling telling me, yes, do this decision. And sometimes signs show that I shouldn't take a decision, but my gut feeling says, no, be brave and do it. So there's a driving force
mhm.
that's pushing me towards this certain decision. How can we recognize if it's an intuition, or it's sometimes maybe just our fear or our previous experience that's stopping us from certain decision?
Just like any other skill, it's a skill that you can develop by like playing little games with yourself. Um,
Okay.
so, for example, um, what's a good example? For example, like making a choice between healthy food and not healthy food, right? So like
Okay.
you test your like you ask your inner self like is it best for me to consume this or that? Okay. And then like test it in a way that like you actually do both and see how you feel afterwards. I know it's not a very great example, but like it's like something that's real, you know? Or let's see. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to the original question, which was how do you develop it, right? Um,
Okay.
it's a matter of developing it, just like any skill that you have. You kind of like test yourself and then go through with whatever choice you made and look back and say, is this the best choice I made? You know, did I listen to my
Mhm.
inner voice or was it fear? And so the more clear you become about that feeling, the better outcomes you will have. And then for me in particular, I always pay attention to my gut feeling and the difference between when it's a good gut feeling or like a not so good gut feeling. So for example, um, like if I should stay away from someone, like I tune into that feeling and really like pay attention to the sensation that I have. And then
Okay.
like I also pay attention to the exact opposite when someone is good for me, like a friend or you know any situation. Like I just listen to my gut and I think of I listen to my gut and I observe the difference between that feeling. um, if you want something like super particular, I'll give you my trick. So I love my nephews and my nieces. Okay, they're like the cutest thing, and my cats. Okay, so every time I see them or I'm in their presence, I get this very distinct feeling of like my heart opening. Like it's a very distinct feeling that I've really like honed in on. And then on the contrary, every time I'm around someone that I shouldn't be around, like a narcissist or whatever, someone who
Okay.
like I shouldn't be around for whatever reason, or someone who has not so good intentions, with me. I get a really like I feel like a fist in my belly, like it's a very distinct feeling that I have learned to become aware of, so that like my body indicates when when my intuition is telling me, leading me towards something or away from something. It's a very distinct feeling that I have inside of me that I have become aware of over time. Does that make sense?
Yes. So now we're talking basically, which is, I believe many people experience it, the power of our gut feeling and this small nudge in our gut telling us to do something or not. But intuition is bigger than that. And
Mhm.
intuition sometimes many leaders use to take decisions, just to take
Mhm.
risks sometimes, to jump
Mhm.
into big opportunities. And if you tell them, okay, are there any numbers that support your decision, they were like, no, I followed my gut, it's just
Mhm.
my intuition told me to jump into this deal or not to jump into this deal. And it works sometimes, but it fails sometimes.
Mhm.
um, I always wonder, should I follow my mind or my gut? And with human beings in general, intuition can be not always right, correct?
Mhm.
Or it's not the intuition.
I would say that it's not the intuition. Maybe you're supposed to go through that because it teaches you something. So, like, instead of judging it or feeling bad about it, you can always think of it as, okay, what did I take away from this? So, like, your intuition told you to do something. Maybe it's not that it led you the wrong way, but it was something that you were supposed to experience, so that you can make peace with it and say, okay, this is not the path that I was supposed to take. You know what I mean? Like, there's no right and wrong. I don't think so, at least. It's just, it is what it is. So, like,
Okay.
um, I guess like what your spirit is yearning to experience, and it
Mhm.
leads you like, but like I think the more important thing is for you to look back and say, okay, what did I take away from this? Was it a good risk or
Okay.
not so good risk, you know? And so you kind of pivot from there. But it gave you answers for what works and what doesn't work.
Okay. So from what you're saying, I can get that intuition grows by reflecting and learning from our experiences. And the more
Hmm.
we are trusting this intuition and believing that following those feelings will lead us to a better experience just because we are learning from this experience, it's it grows stronger and it would
Hmm.
gives us better hints.
Yeah.
In many cases, we call, especially religious people, they use the word instead of intuition, they say this is the God's will.
Hmm.
So, how can, I don't know if it's the correct phrasing or what's the difference between our spiritual beliefs and our really this belief that we'll do whatever God guides us to and intuition. Are they the same thing or are they different things?
I think it depends on your practice. Like how well connected are you to God, to your divine self, to the part of you
Mm-hmm.
that's connected to God? Because I don't think like if you're truly truly connected to that, you can't go wrong, you know?
Okay.
So, uh, God's will. You said it's called God's will. I think that it depends on you as the individual having whatever experience brings you closer to God, you know? So like the more you learn to be really like connected to that part of you, um, you're only
Okay.
going the pathway that you're supposed to.
I know it's a little bit tough question because when you get into the spiritual beliefs and God, you everyone will have their own format, but it's
Hmm.
a big deal about. So intuition, about after this question, I can think about it that intuition is basically whatever you believe you have, but it's greatly reflected on something, a power higher than you, guiding you towards certain
Hmm.
life trajectory. And sometimes it matches what your mind, logic, and intellect says. Sometimes
Hmm.
it can be opposite, but it's a force. And I believe in my case, I've noticed in many of my experiences that intuition wins over logic mind. And
Yes.
when I have this strong gut feeling, intuition that I have to do something, my brain starts trying to make sense of this decision.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the main force is the intuition. One of the big experience for me was a couple of years ago when I decided to move to US. It
Hmm.
was out of the blue. Things started going really bad, the situation in my country. And just one day I woke up and I was like, I need to go to US. And
Hmm.
within 1 week, I took this decision. I packed, I took my daughter and booked my ticket and left to US. Although logically it didn't make sense because financially I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Even emotionally, everyone in the family wasn't ready. It was a shock for everyone. But there was something inside of me which I couldn't stay here anymore.
Hmm.
Something
Hmm.
telling me you have to leave. And
Hmm.
I wasn't prepared for leaving. It was something really sudden. And really
Hmm.
financially, I was like, okay, what I will do now? Someone leaving a country with his daughter and have like couple of $1,000, $2,000 in with me. That's all the
Hmm.
cash I have. So
Hmm.
logically, it was scary. It was a wrong decision, but I followed this feeling in my mind telling me, no, now it's the time to leave. And lucky
Hmm.
me, maybe 1 month after I left, COVID hit
Hmm.
and everything in the world stopped. And it was a perfect timing for me to be able to settle down because the world slowed down. There was a lot of assistance from the government. So things reflecting now back, I was like, there wouldn't be any better time to leave to US than this time.
Yeah.
And I believed then that logically I wouldn't see it, I wouldn't know it, I wouldn't take a decision accordingly. But following my intuition, I was able to take the right decision at the right time, which logic or numbers couldn't tell me to do this.
Mm-hmm. I love that you mentioned
So
this.
I believe, yeah, I believe this is a perfect example. Now looking back, if I deleted 1 month, if I waited for 1 month, then COVID hit and I won't be able to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And the money value would be losing a lot in my country. There was a big money value difference. So I would be losing a lot more. So here I can really respect the power of intuition, but at that time I didn't know it's intuition.
Yeah.
I didn't know it's gut feeling.
Yeah.
But having the awareness that it's an intuition and start listening more
Mm-hmm.
and asking the universe, okay, what should I do? What's the right decision? Can make a big difference in our life and can help us know that there is higher power taking care of us,
Mm-hmm.
not only our actions and what we're doing.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
Sometimes no matter how much we plan and how much we do and how much we have the numbers and everything in order, intuition is stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And also our beliefs and our the superpower, whatever you want to call it, God, you want to call it divine, whatever you think, there's also this force that's connected with the universe and connected with our intuition
Mm-hmm.
to take us to the other level.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
uh,
I was going to ask
yes,
you if
so
you were to reflect on the
go ahead.
if you were to reflect on the years that you spent in USA, um, and like all the growth that you had, would it have would those things be possible if you remained in Lebanon, or was it necessary for you to
No,
be away from, your culture, your food, mm, your access to your community, all that stuff? Was You see how, like, if you were to take inventory of what happened in the US, how much did you grow? What investments did you make in yourself, in all the things, like what are all the things that has led you to become who you are now today?
it's funny. It's the perfect time to ask this question because I moving back to my hometown. Um, I've been reflecting a lot on those 6 years in US and how much I've grown, I've changed. I'm a totally different person, not only with my knowledge or experience, also with my personality, with my character, with my intuition, with my confidence. Everything changed since 5 years. In addition to the education I gained, the financial situation I've developed, there's a lot of things, and I believe I would still have grown if I stayed here because this is me. I've always looking into growth, into uh, becoming a better person. I've always have this saying that I should always be today better than yesterday
Hmm.
and tomorrow better than today. So so I would be have grown, but not that exponentially as now.
Yeah.
So 6 years in US, I would say would equal 12 or 15 years in my home country.
Yeah.
Especially I was outside of my comfort zone. I wasn't as comfortable. I wasn't in a situation I had to make it.
Hmm.
Either US would either make me or break me.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any choice but making it make me,
I love
you
that.
know? Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that.
But again, it all goes back to my intuition.
Yeah, and following it and knowing it, like it's like a distinct feeling, right? It doesn't make any sense logically. It's just like you're you're like pulled by this thing. It's invisible, but it's so powerful that you can't. You can't ignore it.
It was totally something pulling me. Yeah, I was like everything, everyone in my family. I like to use this experience because it was really, it shows the power of intuition. So I was, everyone in in my family was against this decision,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Why would you go? Like you're not ready. There's a lot of things to prepare." Even for me, it was scary because I had my daughter with me,
Hmm.
and what if I couldn't make it? Like imagine a woman
Hmm.
going across the globe
Hmm.
with only $2,000 with a daughter. Like I would struggle by myself. I would sleep in the car. I would do whatever. But with my daughter, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I don't know there if I will have the support I need or not.
Hmm.
But there's something inside of me like nudging me, no, you have to go, you have
Hmm.
to go. I booked the ticket before telling my parents, or I told them, but I told them I booked. I didn't wait for their feedback because I knew they would make me, they would influence me not to go.
Yeah.
They would put in fear, they would try to make me hesitate.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm going next week to America. I booked the ticket, and Wednesday we're leaving. I remember it was Wednesday. uh, I didn't give myself chance to listen to anything else because I was that sure that this is what I need to
Hmm.
do to remove this big bulk from my heart. And in many other life situations, this intuition happens.
Yeah.
I remember even sometimes I take a decision rationally by my
Hmm.
mind, like, okay, this is the right decision, but my body wouldn't make me do what I have
Yeah.
to do or follow
Yeah.
through.
Exactly.
So there won't be motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to elaborate.
What about you?
I just want to slightly
Huh?
elaborate on your experience with
Yes.
the example of like you moving to the US. So besides your growth, how much how much has your experience motivated, inspired, and taught not only your daughter, but every other woman that knows your story, you being in the leadership position that you're in, like being able to talk about that, like how you see how like it has a ripple effect of inspiration, motivation, and like like teaches other young women in Lebanon worldwide, and especially with your daughter, right? Like you are breaking generational patterns of like women staying, like staying in the culture, right? You are like paving a new pathway for women to follow after you. So it's not just like you using your intuition, but like it has a ripple effect. It affects not just you, but like everyone that's connected to you.
Yes. You know something, when I started last week before I moved here, I met with a lot of friends, and we had a farewell party for me with my Rotary Club. And I was surprised by, especially in the Rotary farewell, and even on Facebook, I posted that today I wrap my 6 years in US. And I was surprised with the people who shared some stories of me with them, how much maybe I affected their lives. I left, even if it was a small
Hmm.
positive influence in their life. I was so surprised by the words they said and the appreciation
Hmm.
I sensed from them. And this reminded me of John Maxwell saying, "My goal with every person I meet to leave them, even if slight bit better than they were before they met me."
Hmm.
And with my experience and the people who reach out to me, I really felt that I made a difference, even if I didn't mean it. But maybe my story,
Hmm.
maybe me being able to achieve something in a foreign country just by myself was an inspiration for those people. And I believe sometimes you influence people even by your failure, just because you're trying,
Hmm.
because You're there, you're stretching yourself, you're hustling,
Mhm.
whether you achieved what you want or not, but you're still trying, and this is an influence for other people too.
You're absolutely right.
So yeah, yeah, of course, there was a lot of influence on the people around me. Even going back here, I felt a lot of appreciation and influence on other people. But I would take it all back to say, this is my intuition telling me to go at the first place, not listen to the fears I have, the doubts I have, the lack of confidence I have, because you can't imagine how scary was this 20 hours flight from Lebanon to US going to the unknown.
Mhm.
But there was this feeling, no, there it should be the right decision because there's something in me
Mhm.
telling me I have to go.
Mhm.
And at the end, I say, this is what God wants me to do. If he didn't want me to go through this step, I wouldn't take this decision. So sometimes it's also comfort to feel that it's God's intuition, it's
Mhm.
God's will,
Yeah.
basically. What about you? How does intuition resemble in your life?
Well, I'm constantly in the practice of using my intuition, not just for me, but in my transformational coaching. When I talk to any clients, in the first 5 minutes of chatting with them, my intuition tells me to use like because they say like, okay, I need help with this particular situation, right? But like my intuition brings me laser focused on one thing that's going to make the biggest impact for them, so that if I give them their breakthrough in that particular thing, it just brings me
مش
closer to it. um, and then I can give them a truly transformational um, session. I think you have also experienced this working with me a couple of times, yeah.
with you, yeah. So this is the additional. Now I have maybe a high school diploma with intuition because it was
Don't say that.
what basically it's because I said it in the introduction, everyone has it,
Mhm,
but it's the power of developing it.
mhm,
And this is the power of your intuition because you worked on yourself, you grew your intuition, not only to feel something related to you, but also to feel others people's.
mhm,
I sense it a lot with your coaching sessions. When you coach me, I've always like discussing a certain topic, then you're like, okay, let's discuss this thing. And then from what you've seen is what really helps me, not what I thought. I always say the problem isn't the problem. Sometimes we think this
yeah.
is the issue, but with coaching, we discover it's something else. And in your case, you can directly tell yourself what's the other issue that your client is dealing with,
Mhm,
which is amazing and which is really powerful. But I know how much hard work it took from you in order to reach to this level of being intuitively strong towards other people's feelings and emotions, not only your feeling
mhm.
and emotion as person. So, what practices do you do in order to empower your intuition?
Besides my daily meditation, um, I don't know. I don't want to make intuition like such a like hard thing to do, you know. So I actually make it fun by playing games. So like if my for example if my phone's ringing, before I look at it to see who's calling me, I always use my intuition to think like, I wonder who's calling me. So most times I know that. Are you frozen again? Hello? Oh no, we're frozen again.
Okay, we're back. I'll wait for Masuma a little bit to join again. Uh, I apologize for that. I'm trying to connect on my Wi-Fi or even on my 3G, but sometimes it happens. I'm so sorry for that, Masuma. The
No, no
internet is a
worries.
little bit uh, shaky here. I have my two phones with two like wireless connection and Wi-Fi, but still I
Yeah.
lost connection. So let's go back. What were you discussing?
You asked me a question and now I don't remember.
So I asked you basically about how you develop your intuition. You said in addition to meditation,
Oh,
but
yes.
you don't want to make it as hard, like you want
Yeah.
to simplify.
I play little games. Like I act like a child, you know? Because I think like our intuition's really strong when we're young, and then it gets minimized by our programming, conditioning, life experiences, and we just kind of mute that inner voice. And so when you're developing your intuition, you kind of reconnect with that child self that wants to play and figure stuff out, you know, curiosity. And so, for example, I was giving you like a practical example that I use. Um, when my phone is ringing, I won't look at it. I'll first try to guess who's calling me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, usually, like, I think 95% of the time, uh, I sense the person calling me, and then I look at my phone. I'm like, yep. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
just as fun as that. You can make it as fun as that to practice developing your intuition, where you know, like uh, what it's called. If someone texts you before you look at your phone, you you connect with yourself and you're like, who is trying to reach me right now, you know? And I
Okay.
see if that person comes up. You see what I'm saying? It's like a fun little game that you can play on a daily basis that really uh, like makes it more clear for you, you know, like where you're playing with your intuition. Or if you're watching a movie and you can test your intuition and guess what's going to happen, you know? It's like sometimes like I start a movie, you know, like in the first 10 minutes, then I kind of make predictions using my intuition to say like what's going to happen, you know? And then
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Like it's just, that's how I do it.
So does this happen for you specifically because you are intuitive person, you are born this way, or you believe because you were aware of the power of intuition and start intentionally focusing on growing this intuition?
I am uh, I am an intuitive person, just born that way. But I know that you can develop it if you don't have it or if you think that you don't have it. So everything is possible as long as like you're committed to it. So if it's something
Mhm.
that you want to develop, then yes, you can do it. It's just a skill, yeah. You can have the skill of learning technology. You can have the skill of leadership. You can have the skill of this. So the skill of intuition is something that you can definitely develop with practice. So I gave you a couple of practical examples, but if you want to be like serious, you know, you can take courses on how to develop your intuition because everyone has it. It's
Mhm.
not it's not something that nobody has, or you know, like some people have it and some people don't. I just happen to be aware of my, you know, like my intuition, and I noticed that it got really strong as soon as I had children. So as soon as I became a
Okay.
mother, um, I noticed that it turned on. You know what I mean? In order to keep them safe or whatever. So that's why I said I think females have it stronger or more aware of it than men. But like if your audience are men and they're wondering about their intuition, they can develop it and they can use it in their business, in their leadership, in stock trading, you know. There's so many different ways you can use your intuition and just go with it because it's like you connecting to your higher self, to the part of you that's connected to God, creator, consciousness, and then you have this bigger field of knowing without learning it in school or whatever, you know?
Yes. So thank you for clarifying this, especially when you said about mothers, they get more higher intuition when they have children, because it's an instinct we all have, but it's like a hidden gem because we don't know it, we don't know its value, we don't know it exists. We
Hmm.
ignore it sometimes and we dismiss a lot of emotions and signs that are intuitional messages, intuitional messages. That's correct. Intuitional messages.
Intuitive, intuitive
So
messages.
intuitive, thank you. That's the word. So yeah, we miss a lot of intuitive messages because we don't understand. It's our intuition calling, and we really need to listen to it.
Hmm.
We get better, if you want ears to listen to our intuition, when we ask ourselves, talk to ourselves. And this is something I learned from religious practices,
Hmm.
that there is open conversation between them and God and themselves too. And just by having this self talk and open conversation between them and the universe will send them messages. They will listen to what's, and this is how intuition more
Hmm.
grows than being just lost with numbers and facts and friends and advice. No, when you want to take a decision, turn inside, turn
Hmm.
inwards, and ask yourself, ask the universe, okay, what's better for me right now?
Hmm.
Uh,
May I share a story about like as mothers, like what kind of, you know, how you can use your intuition? So I'm just going to give you a quick little story, okay? My
yes, please.
younger son, um, one day, like he was leaving to go to school, right? And
Mhm.
even though it was like a warm, sunny day or whatever, I told him, I was like, hey, take a sweater with you. I don't know where this came from, but I just told him, take a sweater with you. He's like, no way. He's like, I'm not cold. Look at the weather, you know? And so I don't know what happened, but like 2 hours later, like we had this like thunderstorm and the weather completely changed, you know? And like it was really cold and freezing. And then that day he came home from school and he's like, Mom, I wish I listened to you because I was freezing the whole day. He's like, from tomorrow I'll listen to you because every time I I don't listen to you, I feel like I almost get cursed or something. I don't know what word he used, but he was trying to explain to me. He's like, how did you know? Because like the weather looked like it was fine and it's sunny, but like you told me to take a sweater and you never do that. But on that day you did, and I needed it. And so like
Yeah,
like this is like just a small little example of like how it works in your life as a mother. Another time, my other son, we were at Disneyland and he was about to go on this ride, and like I had this really discomfort with him going on this particular ride, and I felt like his heart wasn't strong enough to do the drop. I forgot what it's called. It's a mountain something. Anyway,
mountain something. Yeah.
yeah, I
Uh-huh.
told my ex-husband, I was like, please don't take him on this ride. He's like, no, I'm gonna make a man out of him, or whatever the situation was. I was like, I don't think he can handle it. Like, I don't want my kid to be like traumatized by a ride and not ever want to go on a ride. And he said, no, we're gonna go. Like, this is, boy stuff. You can stay out of it. And I was watching my younger one. He was in a stroller back then, and so I don't know, like I just kind of like I had this like really weird feeling like my I don't want my kid on this ride. It was very strong. So I started praying to God and I was like, God, uh, I don't care even if my kid can handle it. I want you to stop this ride. And it was like impossible for the ride to stop. Okay. So like he gets on the ride, my ex-husband messages me. He's like, hey, we're on the ride. We're going. Everything's good. He's fine. And so I'm trying to breathe through this, but I'm still like not feeling comfortable with him being on this ride. And I was like, God, if you can hear me, like stop this ride. I want to know that you can hear me and you're gonna support me I just don't want my kid on this ride right now. And so like they're going, and he's like, hey, we're at the top. We're about to do the drop. And then the ride stops. And I'm like, what?
Oh my
He
God.
messages me. He's like, what did you do? I was like, nothing. What do you mean? He's like, did you talk to someone? I was like, no. And so then like the ride stops, and then like they take them like right before the drop, okay? They had to take them down the stairs, like the people on that particular boat. And these boats were going like nonstop, you know? And so they get down, and it's because a girl in front of him on that same boat had gotten scared, and she was young, and she like threw herself out of the boat, or took herself out of the boat, and it was not safe for anyone. So they stopped the ride for the girl, and like they walked everyone down. And like I don't know how to describe, I don't know how to explain these things. It's just like your gut knows or nudges you towards something. And and like I have a lot of these stories, you know what I mean? And so like
Yeah.
these are like practical mother stories when it comes to intuition.
Yeah. You're scary.
No,
We
don't
want
say
you
that.
always, we want you always on our side. So no, I'm kidding. No,
You're funny.
the funny with all of us have similar stories, but sometimes we
Mhm,
call it luck. We call it,
mhm,
oh my God, I'm lucky, or I'm so powerful, or we take it as a joke, but it's something important. It's something important to recognize. And this doesn't mean that everything works out our way. And I love when you stressed at the beginning that sometimes, even when if it's a wrong decision or failure in some people's dictionary, it's a lesson learned.
mhm,
Our intuition wants us, our God wants us to go through this experience because we will get out stronger to serve the biggest mission. And
mhm,
I ask myself a lot of questions, like before I sleep, if
mhm,
this is something good for me, if this is person is good for me, just let me know. And sometimes the answer comes in my dreams. And
mhm,
dreams are big sign of our intuition because they tell us a lot of stories. They tell us a lot of signs of sometimes answer to our biggest problems or our biggest uh, decisions. In our
mhm,
dreams, sometimes if this is the sign, if we were intentionally looking into our dreams, and many times we wake up, we forget the dream. And there is a practice also to help us remember our dreams and read the signs from the dreams, what's coming on.
mhm,
Many times I meet people and I was like, before I sleep, please guide me if this is person good for me. And trust me,
mhm.
I get a dream that clearly shows if this person is good or not. And
Yeah.
in the morning, I have my decision ready. And
Mhm.
it works many times.
Yeah. There is a practical tool you can also use to test your intuition or to grow your intuition. Have you heard of Have you heard of pendulums? Pendulum? Yes,
This, that,
exactly.
yeah.
So you
Okay.
can use
So,
a
okay.
pendulum
What?
to connect with your higher self and ask it to give you accurate answers. And so like the way, there's a lot of information on YouTube, or there's courses online you can take. But
Okay.
I used to, when I first started developing my intuition, I would use pendulums, and it was like a really fun way to see your energy and like where it is, what your intuition is trying to tell
Wow.
you. And that's another subject for another
In my
time. Maybe we can do a demonstration.
in my country, we use the pendulum for pregnant women to see if it's a boy or girl.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, if it goes right to side, it's a boy, or whatever. If it
Yeah,
goes round, it's a
that's so
girl.
cool.
So it's fun to know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a game, and when the answer matches what we want, we'll say, "Oh, it's a
Mhm.
true." If doesn't match what we want, we'd say, "Oh no,
Yeah,
it's yeah."
yeah.
Okay, I will be looking at the pendulum. Do you put? Is there anything like? Is there any like we can put a ring with a
Yes,
thread,
yes,
or what do you
exactly.
use for the
You
pen?
can you can put you can create your own pendulum, basically a string or chain connected to something that will show you like movement, you know? And
Okay.
so, like the way if I was to teach you how to use pendulums, so you know where your solar plexus is, your third chakra? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you would hold your pendulum close to your third chakra because that's your
So third, I'm sorry, I always confuse if this is the first or
no.
it, so that
So
down,
it's
it
right
starts
between your
downwards
heart
up.
and your belly. That's your third. That's your
Okay.
power center. That's your intuitive
Okay.
center. That's your gut feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you hold the pendulum close to
Okay.
that, but not in front of it, just away from it. So that's it's in the same energetic field. And you hold the pendulum and you ask the pendulum questions. So like if you were trying to get a yes or no to see like if your pendulum is saying yes or no or show you the I wish I had one with me right now so I could show you. Maybe we can have this. Maybe we can have this talk again, and I can do some demonstrations. But basically, yeah. So you'll have your pendulum, and you'll ask it questions that you already know that are true. So like you'll ask it, "Is my name Dalida Jafar?" And so it'll either go like this, or it'll twirl or whatever it is. Like it's showing you a yes, and then you ask it, is my name George Bush? And they all do something different, right? So when something is not accurate or not true or it's a no, it'll do a different move than when it's a yes. And so that's how you gauge your yes or no with the pendulum, and then you ask it all the questions that you want to ask. Is it a good idea for me to have coffee today? Yes, no. Is it a good idea for me to have tea
Oh, it's
today?
fun.
You know,
Okay.
like all those things. Like you can just, I'm telling you, like you can have so much fun with it. Like it's not a serious thing, you know? And then eventually, like you'll get to a place where like your
Hmm.
intuitive senses are so strong that like you just live in the flow of life. Like anyway, so that's about it.
Nice.
I don't want to go too
Yeah,
off
I
tangent, but
like it. We are act we are actually out of time. Is there any last message you like to share?
just have fun with your intuition, you know? It's like guessing something before, like play this game where you're guessing before it happens. And that's you developing your intuition.
Yeah.
And it could be as easy as like, you know, you can do it anywhere, you know?
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you so much. I would say that intuition is an important skill to develop, and just to start by acknowledging it exists and read well the signs. And as you acknowledge it more, it gets stronger just by talking to yourself, listening to yourself. I love this topic. I'm looking forward to more to using the pendulum. I guess this is my game tonight.
Yeah.
I'll be playing with it tonight to get a lot of answers I need. And it's funny, people love those type of psychic. I don't want to say psychic, but it's in a
Yeah.
way, it's figuring the
Hmm,
unknown.
hmm,
And our intuition is our own way of figuring the unknown. And it's really, really true.
hmm,
It will serve you a lot when you learn how to empower this skill and develop it in order to. And all leaders have higher
hmm,
intuition. They can see what others don't see. They can see the bigger picture. They can see the
hmm,
unknown. Not that doesn't mean they have answers to everything, but at least they have the sense of direction of what's helpful and what's
hmm.
not.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing it gives you is it really connects you with your personal power, and nothing and no one can take that away from you. Like it automatically pulls you out of, feeling like a victim, like life happens to you being fully in your power. And I think that if there's any motivation for anyone to develop their intuition, it's just to like grow their own self-confidence and self-leadership, you know?
Right. And if you couldn't develop your intuition, reach out to Masuma. She will see for you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much. I'll see you next week with another fun
that. Yes.
topic. We will be discussing. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. and we'll talk to
Thank
you
you so
soon.
much.